Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth, another podcast by Dr. Leslie Phillips.
Hello everyone and welcome to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie. My name is Dr. Leslie Phillips and I am your host. The topic today is going to be quieting your mind. Quieting your mind. And of course the Buddha used to say that the human mind is filled with drunken monkeys flinging themselves from tree branches. I felt like a drunken monkey just then.
You're back up though,
Thank
right?
you, yes. Jumping around and chattering non-stop. And, you know, he meant that our minds are in constant motion. And I'm sure everybody listening must have that experience regularly, that their mind is going crazy.
I know I do.
Yeah, it's very common. Very, very, very common. And what does your mind do? What's it normally? What monkeys are flinging around? What kinds of things are they flinging to, Corey, when it happens to you?
I don't know. I guess what like most people, I think insecurities, pressures, time pressures. I'm a big one for time pressure. I even when I'm going to do something that's not got anything to do with business or something like that, I'm still crunched. I still feel crunched. Like, am I going to be able to get this done and get back and do that? And I go, take a breath. Don't worry about it.
Like a to-do list. I think a lot of people, they've got this big, long to-do list, you know, whether it's a project or you've got to take the kids this, there, and everywhere and pick them up at this time. And you have that going on in your mind when it's hours away from the things that you have to do.
Well, you know, my favorite one is the renovations.
Yeah.
We're renovating the house, and so I'll lay in bed at night going, okay, I've got to do that. How's that going to work? And it's really, in one way, it's good because I actually do the renos in my head several times before I actually do the physical renovation, and it puts me through all the possible issues I have, which is good.
Helps you think it through, you know, and that might be a slightly different thing that you're doing there. That sounds like Nikola Tesla, who used to have his laboratory of the mind, where he worked out he set all his scientific experiments up in his mind and let it run in his mind before he did it in his real life lab.
That's one way to look at it. If you could control that, but if you don't control it, if it controls you, then your mind isn't quiet.
Yeah.
One of my mentors used to say, we have all these things, and with your mind, when somebody tells you something that you think is inane, just say thank you for sharing. When you say something to yourself that's inane, say thank you for sharing and just go on. Because the thoughts come and go, right?
Yeah.
The will tell you just let them go.
I find that a lot of people, this monkey mind, what it's doing is it's going into the future or it's going into the past. It's going into the future because there's some list of future events or some scary future event that's about to happen that you're worried about. Or something happened in the past that you're going over and over again because you didn't like the way it played out. You know, maybe you said something stupid and you thought of something better that you should have said later on. And also, like you said, insecurities, fears, and so on.
Well, it's like a lot of the self-help people will tell you as well. It's those three words: could, would, should.
Mm.
And you're right. They're all in the past. They're all in the future. If you're in the present, unless you're running into but even if you have an accident or anything like that, it's not the accident itself. Is what do I do after the accident? What happens now? Will I be hurt? Even in those split seconds, it's still about the future.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, you know, while you're doing that, projecting your consciousness into the future or past, like Corey says, you are not able to fully be or enjoy the present. It makes it really hard for you to focus. And so how do you get this under control? How do you get this under control so that you can have clarity and concentrate and be in present time and enjoy what you're doing
I
now?
know. Let me guess.
Go on.
Ground.
Well, that would be one of the things. Meditation would be one of the things too, and centering also. So yes, all of those things. But I've actually I've got an extended list of suggestions, some of which are to do with meditation and some which are not. So I thought we could expand the conversation beyond meditation, although, you know, top of my list is meditation. And I really do believe that meditation is the most effective tool to calm your mind. And, you know, if you learn to meditate, then what you're doing is you're training your mind to become still. You are learning how to control your thoughts. You're learning... Sometimes, some forms of meditation, you're learning how to be the neutral observer of your thoughts and just watch them floating by. And other forms of meditation, you're training yourself to have no thoughts, to be completely just poised in the present moment without thoughts, just being. And so meditation is my number one step to taming your monkey.
You know, we talk about the difference between your meditation and a guided meditation. But what a lot of people I've talked with and helped out, I've actually put them in a position where they can tape their own meditation, and they use their own meditation to do a guided meditation on a recorded process. It works really well as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. That's a great idea for people. And so what else do we, if you have a monkey mind and you would really like to get on top of it, what are the steps that you need to take? Well, the first one really is to say, know that you can do it. Because I think some people, it's just that's what they think their normal state is. And, I mean, I'm here to tell you it isn't, and it doesn't have to be. I mean, I know because I meditate every day, and, you know, it works for me, and I know lots of other people it works for. So if monks can do it, so can you. And as Corey said, don't let your thoughts rule you, rule your thoughts. So the first step is know that it's possible. Know that you can do it. Did I misquote you?
Yes, you did.
Well, then...
Please, don't misquote me.
Well, then you can say whatever it was again if you want.
No, it's about not taking notice of your thoughts. Which is a little bit... Ruling your mind, to me, means controlling what you think about.
Or controlling the fact that you even think at all.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas taking notice... many of the bigger gurus, or the no names are coming to my mind, will tell you when you have even in meditation, when you have a thought, just allow it to come and allow it to go, but just take no notice of it.
Yeah, so there are two different styles of meditation. One which you become the neutral observer of your thoughts, and another one where you actually control whether you have a thought or not. Anyway, so know that it's possible, and then start to develop an awareness. So step number 2 is start to develop an awareness of when your mind is running wild, and notice what it's saying. And actually, you segued into that really with your point. So you start to develop an awareness. Oh, look, my mind's going crazy right now. And you're observing what you're thinking about, and notice what it's saying. And then you can engage. You can have a conversation with it. So why are you having... What are these thoughts that you're having, and why are you having them? You can even ask yourself questions. Why are you so obsessed with this right now? Why is this upsetting you? What's all the fuss about? And... You know, I've heard of some people who they even, you know, keep a journal and have a conversation with themselves. So they say to their monkey mind, I'm going to set every day 15 minutes of journaling, time for me to talk to my own mind, you know, and engage a question and answer session, or let the mind just go crazy for that 15 minutes and with a stream of consciousness, and say, this is your time to be a monkey mind. And after this time, if you want to be a monkey mind, you have to wait till tomorrow next time that we're doing this.
And either do it within your mind or do it in a private place where nobody else has access. Otherwise, you'll have a whole new set of problems.
Or write it in a journal. I thought I said that, but write it in a journal. And then, the other thing is then look at what you've written down and maybe take some actions to help your mind feel more at ease. So if it's this one where you're going over your to-do list, what can you do? Can you make a schedule, make a plan, and tell your mind it doesn't need to worry about it because everything is all planned out? If it's worried about the future, reassure it that everything's going to be fine and we just stay in the present. If it's resentful over the past, let it go. And if you can't let it go, think about steps you can take in order to be able to let it go. And if you're caught judging things in the present, then also look at why that is, and can you let that go? So take some form of action to ease the issues that your mind is having.
And then you could become a Rasta and go, don't worry, be
That's
happy.
Right. Exactly. I think we've kind of covered this one already, but it's a slightly different version of what we were saying before about being the neutral observer. Stop assigning meaning. Just be present without thought. Just be in this totally state of being. And notice, sense things, experience them, but don't attach labels and judgments onto the surface of them. Just allow yourself to be present and experience things deeply. So that's a mindfulness practice. And here's some other common ones that you might have heard of. Reciting a mantra, that's a form of meditation. But what it does is, if you're reciting a word or a phrase or a sound over and over again, it draws your scattered attention and focuses it on one thing. And if you say it out loud, then you're using your senses to tune into it as well. So all your attention now goes to this one phrase. So it creates a point of focus for your mind. And the same thing with affirmations, actually. Affirmations, repeating positive phrases, a bit like a mantra, and then listening to something positive over and over again instead of listening to your crazy mind. So we've got emptying your mind, becoming the neutral observer of your thoughts but still allowing them to flow, reciting a mantra so you have a point of focus, and reciting affirmations so that you are listening to positive talk rather than negative talk. And then mindfulness practices, so using your senses, using your 5 senses to really bring you into the present and just focus all your attention on what you're seeing, smelling, hearing, feeling, tasting, to bring your focus into the present moment. And of course, another thing that is really, really great for bringing you into the present moment is activities like, and actually I believe these are a form of meditation, painting, art, doing some artwork. In that moment where you're creating that art, it really pulls your focus and attention to the art, and you'll find that you stop having thoughts while you're doing it. Or writing. If you're writing, then you're bringing your mind more into a pinpointed focus. Even watching a movie, or exercising, or reading a book, right? You're perhaps less scattered when you're doing those things. Now, of course, I have a fantastic technique which is all about focusing your conscious awareness into a single point of awareness, and that's my centering technique. And there is a there are past podcasts where we go over that, but basically what it is you focus your conscious awareness in the center of your head on your pineal gland, and it separates you from your frontal lobes in your brain. It separates you from your intellect, which is where all the neurons are firing and causing you to have these thoughts. And this is actually how you then become the neutral observer, and can control whether you have thoughts or not. Now, another couple of things quickly before we go to break. Breathing techniques. So you may have heard of square breathing, where you inhale through the count of 5, hold it for the count of 5, exhale for the count of 5, hold it for the count of 5, and do that 5 times, for example. That resets your energy and it helps you to your thoughts to dissipate. There's Hawaiian breathing called Pico breathing, where you breathe on the inhale, you are focusing on the crown, the top of your head, and when you exhale, you are focusing on your navel. And you basically breathe in, focus on the crown, breathe out, focus on your navel. That's a real Hawaiian kahuna technique.
You don't have to breathe through your navel, do you?
No. And I believe that the Buddhists have a version of that, but they go from the crown to the feet, from the crown to the feet.
Actually, the easiest one is, if you want to go that route, the easiest one is when you inhale, repeat to yourself, inhale, exhale, inhale. Exhale. Just repeat the word within your mind as your mantra. It's the very easiest one to do. You're missing 3 very strong ones.
Am I?
Yes.
You tell me what they are then.
Okay. One is find a guru, teacher, mindfulness coach, someone who's really knowledgeable, like Dr. Leslie or what's his name, or Power of Now guy,
Eckhart
Tolle. And to help you along the way. The other one is a focal point. You mentioned focal point, focus points, which is I have.
Oh yeah, I know what you're going to say.
I had something I wanted to say, but I've completely forgot about it. But I'll go back to something else. But the other one is a physical. I had an issue once, and with negative thinking, and I was taught I wore an elastic band, and every time I had a negative thought, I'd snap the band, and then I'd give myself the positive side of that thought and kiss myself. And it was very interesting. Within 3 days, I had almost no negative thoughts, because the subconscious doesn't allow you to have negative thoughts then, because it doesn't want you to go into a pain situation.
Was the third one? There is a form of meditation with your eyes softly open, and you just focus on a point in front of you.
I remember what it was now. Focus. A Vietnamese guru, monk, I read once, and you know his name. I'm having problems with names today. And what he said is, when you do something, focus on the doing of that task, and not the future. Even when you eat, you take a bite, you put the fork down, and you chew, and you taste that food. When you're doing the dishes, don't do the dishes quickly so that you can go watch a television set. Do the dishes and love the dishes that you're doing. And if you go to that place, then it's a lot easier to enjoy what you're doing when you're doing it and focusing on it.
Yeah, that's the focusing on the senses.
Yeah, focusing on focusing on
the action,
the absolute now of the task, not now in time, but now of the task.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, that's brought us up to a break, and after the break, we'll be taking your calls, and we've been talking about quieting your mind, how to overcome your monkey mind. And after the break, you can call us on 604-504-7441 extension 4142 with your questions or your monkey mind thoughts. And of course, if you're a regular listener, you'll know we open the lines for you to ask about anything of a spiritual nature, of a metaphysical nature, or something in your everyday life that you would like an intuitive insight about. folks, welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie. My name is Dr. Leslie Phillips and I am your host this evening. And we've been talking about monkey minds, how to control or quiet your mind so that you're not just being have a million drunken monkeys jumping from tree to tree inside your brain. And we had some tips before the break to help you to do that. And now we're at that time in our show where we open the phone lines for you to call us with your questions. Of course, you can email info@drlesliephillips.com as well. And we do have email questions. What's the first question you have for us, Corey?
One of the things, interesting that we're talking about this today, because I get to talk to the callers before you do. And monkey mind is very, very prevalent in that as well. Like they'll say, "Oh, I've always wanted to call in, but I couldn't do it." And it's not because they're shy. It's actually because they have a monkey mind. What happens if somebody recognizes my voice or hears my question or, being on air? It's like being on camera in a television studio and people freeze up. But there's no reason to, and we change your name and we can have some fun with it. So if you're worried about calling in, don't. And your voice, by the way, never sounds the same on the radio as it does in real life. So don't worry about people recognizing you. Okay, I've got some really good questions. And here is one from Kylie. And this is a quickie for you. Would relocating to another city be beneficial to me and my family?
I'll take a look for this lady. Let's see. Look at where you live now and relocating to another city. Let's take a look. Well, to me, relocating actually looks better. There you go. She didn't ask where, so...
Oh, that's fine.
Yep.
That's why I said it was a quick one for you. I've got a question from Sunil. And Sunil would like to know, I think this is a turning point for me, and maybe a way of my depression phobia. Turning point for me, and maybe a way of probably getting out of my depression or phobia. In free online tarot, I keep getting judgment. Make a decision card, one of those cards. I would like clarity as to what they're referring to.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. So, Sunil, let's take a look at you and this tarot card that keeps coming up. I can see the depression, and I can see that what's causing it is past time pain stored in your body. Past time pain stored in your body. And it's taking up so much space that most of your bright, beautiful, sparkly energy is actually hovering outside of your body. So that's the first thing. That's what's causing it. And then are you at a turning point? Well, let's take a look. So I'm seeing the symbolism of that card. That judgment card is often, it's the scales of justice, and the scales of justice are about balance. And I'm seeing that it's giving you information about balance. And the first aspect of balance that's being brought forward to talk to you about is the balance between body and spirit. Because your balance between body and spirit, the communication between body and spirit it's not flowing because of the pain that you've stored in your body that's causing your depression. And so it is giving you the answer. The answer is about balance and being in balance, and to be being in balance and being in flow. And let's see what else. Well, and the other thing is, I would just talk about what we were talking about on the show. We were talking on the show about how often we get caught up in thinking about the past. That's one of the things that we mentioned, and how that takes us away from the present moment, and it takes us away from our our bodies get depressed when we focus too much on the past, because the body cannot go back into the past and do anything about what's already happened. And so for you, I'm seeing, letting go of the past. You can use meditation to do that. You can check out some past podcasts and find the ones where we talk about grounding. And for sure, that would help you let go of this past time energy and would help you bring your energy back into balance. So that's my answer for Sunil.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. And in keeping with our theme of tonight of monkey mind, here's a question from Gina. Similarly, but a spiritual monkey mind. I'm going through a major spiritual awakening, and your podcast has helped me with the overwhelming visual, auditory, and sensory input I receive. I'm now working on grounding and centering. Can you tune in to me and provide some clarity on my intuitive gifts?
So grounding and centering, and she wants intuitive gifts. And what was her name again?
Gina.
And she's been listening to the podcast, which, folks, you can find on my website, drlesliephillips.com. Okay, so Gina, give me a second. Oh yes, I can see that your world is cracking open, Gina. An enormous amount of energy and information and revelation happening in your space, for sure. And okay, so you're practicing being centered and being grounded. I'm seeing that the grounding looks like you're channeling such a lot of energy that you actually could do with a bit more grounding. I mean, it's an interesting fact that when you're on a spiritual journey and you're doing work on yourself and you're healing yourself and you're increasing your vibration, the further along you go, the more you need to increase your grounding. So you can never have enough grounding, Gina. So I'm glad that you're working on that. And then you want to know what your intuitive gifts. So, well, I'm seeing that there are a lot of them, a great many gifts. Healing comes up, psychometry comes up.
Ooh. I love psychometry.
Yeah, psychometry comes up, and that's sort of a combination of working with your hand chakras and your 6th and 7th chakras. And of course, the 6th chakra is to do with clairvoyance, being able to see as spirit. The 7th chakra is being able to know as spirit. The hands have to do with being able to tune into energy and also manifestation. And I'm seeing that you have a talent for working all those together and being able to actually do things like dowsing. And dowsing is an ancient art where they use things like a forked twig to identify where underground water is, or where I don't know, crystals or metal ores or are. So I'm actually very interesting. I'm actually seeing that dowsing would be something that you would be really good at, and also, there's a thing that some mediums do. It's a bit like a parlor trick, but not, where it's sort of like, well, give me your ring, and I'll hold on to your ring, and then I'll tell you stuff about yourself, or I'll tell things about the history of this object by touching it. And that's also a form of psychometry. Doing pendulum work is a form of psychometry. So psychometry comes up really, really strongly for you, and healing. And so, because I'm seeing you're really good at being able to sense energy and sense energy blocks. So like the dowsing, you're sensing energy on the land and the landscape, but the healing within somebody's body, I'm seeing you be able to hold your hands over somebody's body and really feel where the energy is flowing and where the energy is blocked. And I'm also seeing that in that situation you would also be able to use your clairvoyance to see the energy and to work with it that way. So Gina, you've got a lot going on. And that's fantastic. And of course, for all of this, it's really important to be grounded, and being centered is what helps you activate your clairvoyance. So what you're doing is, all the things that you're doing are great and really, really helping you with your spiritual awakening. So I think we've got time for one more before the break.
The break. You'll just have to wait if we don't. And we have another question from Cloud. We answered a question for her last week. And Cloud is wanting to know, I want to really get into healing work on myself at the start of 2016. And I wanted to know if I'm at a good place to begin focusing on this. I have been feeling really behind in my work, but also at the same time, I feel pushed towards looking more inside myself on a deeper level for the coming year.
And we answered her question. Is she the lady with the thyroid problem?
She is, yes.
Okay.
Actually, I think I have another question from her on the sky. On the. That's the one I wanted to read to you, actually.
Oh, yeah, why don't you? And I'll look
okay,
at the whole thing
let's read
together.
that one, yeah. Your reading, this again from Cloud, your reading you gave me last week shed so much light on what was going on in my life that it inspired this question. I have had this shallow shortness of breath for a while now, and it's like I have a hard time breathing into my diaphragm. And when something is really funny, I find myself losing my laugh, like I can't laugh hard, which I assumed is a symptom of the inability to breathe deeply. I would like to know what's going on, why is this happening, and any tips you may have for it. I can't wait to see if this is connected to the thyroid reading from last week or if it's something else. Thank you.
Thanks for those questions, Cloud. So it sounded like you set your intention to have a healing journey this year at the beginning of the year from the first question there, and it looks like that's what you're doing. So let's take a look. And particularly at this shortness of breath. So yeah, I am seeing that. Well, I mean, it's connected to the thyroid, at least from the perspective of it's all to do with the fifth chakra. Everything that's going on here is all to do with the fifth chakra. And I'm seeing that there's some fear in the fifth chakra, and I'm seeing that there's in that whole chest area that you're talking about, there's a lot of, let's call it stale energy, or stagnant energy, or past time energy. So and it just, when something just, it gets so full up with something that it's almost I can't think of the word. I'm just seeing that there is an accumulation of past time energy, and there is fear, and the fear is restricting the breath. Let's say it that way. And then let's just take a look what else we can give you a bit of a healing, and maybe we'll get some more information as well. Because I'm seeing that you're really wanting to open up your inner voice. I mean, and part of what you're doing is you're clearing what's blocking your inner voice. So some of the stuff that's going on in the thyroid has to do with that, and what's going on in the chest and lungs and diaphragm. Because it looks like you're wanting to clear everything that's been stopping you from your body-spirit communication. I think there's a theme going on here. Body-spirit communication again. Because the inner voice is how you get to communicate with your body personality. And of course your emotions are how your body gets to communicate with you. And I'm just seeing that, because you wanted to be on a healing journey this year, that's really what's up for you, is listening to your body and communicating with your body. And so it looks like this is one of the main areas where you had been ignoring stuff. So you're in a fifth chakra growth period. The fifth chakra relates to the thyroid and to the lungs and the chest. I'm seeing that there's some... It's almost like this. It's like you kept breathing in, and not breathing out, and then you kept breathing in and so you're breathing in certain things that then you're not allowing yourself to express. And I'm seeing, I don't know whether I mentioned grief, but I'm seeing that grief is one of the things, that there's some unexpressed grief and some loss. It looks like you've stored a lot of grief and loss in your lungs, and that is and so I think the question was just what was going on, but what can you do about it? Is anything we talk about on this show on how to release energy and bring it into present time really is what you can do about it. So I'm going to...
She wanted to know if it was related to the thyroid.
Yeah, it is. At least in the context of it's all to do with the fifth chakra there. So we're going to go to a break, and we'll be taking your questions after the break. We've been talking about your monkey mind and calming your mind and answering your questions on today's Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie.
Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth, another podcast by Dr. Leslie Phillips.
Welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie. My name is Dr. Leslie Phillips and I am your host. And tonight we have been talking about how to calm your mind. And we are now taking your questions.
So we can only get to so many questions every week, and sometimes questions get put aside for a while, and they seem to float to the top when they have to. And I want to come back to Cloud's question for the other question for a moment. And there's a typo in here, and it's kind of neat. And let me read this question to you again. I want to really get into healing work on myself at the start of 2016. And this question doesn't go all the way back to there, but it does go back anyway. And wanted to know if I'm at a good place to begin focusing on this. I have been feeling really behind in my work, but also at the sane time, SANE, sane time, I feel pushed towards looking more inside myself on a deeper level for the coming year. I think that was kind of cool. It's and she has done, from the time that she sent this email in, she has done that. She has been really working on herself, as we can see.
And I guess you needed to know that, Cloud, to validate. You know, you might be feeling, oh my God, what's going on? I'm falling apart. But actually, you created this at the beginning of the year. You set the intention, I want to heal myself. Exactly. And guess what? That's what you're doing right now. And
I think this typo is just so apropos. At the same time, SANE, at the same time. She's hit a time where she's looking into the reality of herself. It's wonderful. Okay, I have another one for you, and this is from HD. And HD writes, my wife may or does have a thyroid problem. She has tried medications. They don't seem to work. I've just recently been awakened and aware that everything is just a clump of atoms vibrating at different frequency, and I fully accept and believe this new awakening and how we emit vibrations and so on. But my wife is in a terribly irritated state. She yells all the time, talks loudly, has no means of showing love to me even though I know she loves me. She has these coughing tics and constantly is trying to clear her throat and just don't know what to do. And I just don't know what to do. I have seen blue orbs go in through the wall and across my room. Then it knocked out I have seen blue orbs go in through the wall and across my room. Then it knocked a deodorant stick off the dresser, and then it like jumped in the TV set, like sort of looked like it got sucked into the speaker of the TV, and that was it. But all that you described seems to be happening all the time. She says she hurts all over and she never wants to do anything anymore. Please help. Thank you. Bless you.
Okay, and we're getting lots of thyroid questions the last 2
interesting,
weeks. Yeah.
You're becoming an expert.
Okay. Let's take a look then, HD, at you and your blue orbs and your wife and her thyroid.
I just want to make one more comment. I think this person's from the U.S., which we've learned has a different bearing on thyroid issues.
That's true. They do. Yes. Because in the U.S., of course, the medical system, it's an paid, it's an insurance-based system. And whereas in Canada, it's a different system than that. So in Canada, your thyroid is less likely to be diagnosed as abnormal because it costs the healthcare budget than in the US. But anyway, let's take a look at HD. HD and his awakening and his wife with her issues. Let's just take a look at HD first. So, I'm not sure about your energy, HD. Give me a moment. Look at your wife too. Well, your wife's energy looks very dissipated, spread out. Her energy looks very spread out. And it looks like she has been one of those people in her life that has been taught to put everyone else first. And has been doing that for a long time. Until it's just got to the point where there's no space for her own voice within her own self. And so she created a healing crisis around her thyroid so that she could start to listen to her own voice and put herself first again. Okay? So she's like, well, when you're ill and you hurt all over, it's like, well, you've got to put some time aside to yourself, right? Because you don't have any choice anymore. But I'm seeing that... I think I remember saying something about the inner voice to Cloud last week, but that's what it is. It's like, where am I? I've lost myself. I've been focusing all my energy on everybody else, and I've forgotten about myself. I need to hear my own voice again, because my own voice is going to tell me what I truly want, what I truly need, and really going to guide me. And so I'm seeing that she's irritated because she's angry because she doesn't have her own space. I'm seeing that she feels overwhelmed with other people's energy and her obligations to other people. And the anger is her way of trying to get her space back. And the talking loudly is also a part because it's, again, we're talking about to do with the fifth chakra, which is all to do with communication. And she's really trying to assert herself and assert her voice and own her space. And she's got coughs and tics because, anytime you cough or you sneeze or you sigh, that's all you're releasing energy. It's all an attempt to heal herself and release energy from her throat center. So she's in a huge growth cycle all around healing her fifth chakra. And so I hope I've explained what that's all to do with. She's trying... grounding, I'm seeing grounding would really help her if she was open to meditation. I'm seeing that would, it would just, and just, I'm giving her a quick healing actually, and just start helping her to start reclaiming her own energy a bit more. And, it may be that she shouts at you because she's feeling like you're one of the responsibilities or obligations that she's got to look after you. And she's trying to get her space back from you as well, actually. And that's, don't judge yourself. It's like it happens in all relationships. Okay. And then you were asking about blue orbs that you've seen. So let's take a look at the blue orbs that you've seen. And it's so funny because I can see your wife's energy, and when I try to tune into your energy, I'm not. That's really interesting. I get a diffuse grey cloud, which I don't understand, but I'm just going to give you a healing too, and see if I can see you more clearly then. And the blue orbs. A lot of people say that those blue orbs are... Well, I've heard some people say that they are archangels, like the Archangel Michael. And I've heard other people say that they are lifelans. And I see them myself all the time, actually. And actually, oddly enough, always when I'm watching television, I'm seeing blue orbs flying around. So it's kind of interesting. And I've never, to be honest, completely put my finger on what my concept of what they are is. But let me just look at the one that you saw. But I will say one thing, is what they do is they do wake us up to really acknowledge the presence of something other than solid physical reality, the presence of some other consciousness that, because they move around, they come in and out of focus, and so we ask ourselves, what is that? That's something unusual. It's not a part of my usual reality. So it really does open the consciousness up to a greater depth of what's the word? Tune into other levels of reality. And so I'm not necessarily seeing that it was there for any particular reason, but it definitely had the effect on you of helping you wake up to spirit. So I think that's what I've got for HD, Corey.
I have a little something I want to add to
Good.
that as well. Good. Jesus, give me a break here. Give me a break. Remember the movie? There was a movie a little while back that started a catchphrase: "You build it, and they will come." And sometimes, when we open ourselves up to energy or to different concepts or different ways of thinking, they come. And when I say they, is things happen, and we get experiences, some that are a lot of times for our benefit if we keep our eyes open. One of the things I'm going to say, because you're concerned about health questions, and you stuck the blue orb in there, and it knocked over your deodorant stick. Deodorant is most deodorants, women's deodorants, have an aluminum. Is it aluminum sulfite or sulfate?
Well, aluminium, yeah.
Yeah, aluminium, which is really bad for health purposes. It actually says that it may cause cancer and Alzheimer's and things along those lines. So, what I got from this was that you've been given a great gift, and that you and your wife need to take a look at that. Well, especially you. Maybe it's time to make a change to your deodorant. It may sound foolish, but if that's what happened, I would take a serious look at the label on your deodorant.
I think that's actually really good advice, because I don't know how long ago we got that. That's this week's question, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's because it's so funny. Like if I didn't know it was this week's question, I would have thought that was one from a long time ago, because HD, I would actually be, in looking at your energy, I would be quite concerned about your health, not just your wife's health. And so I think that Corey's suggestion of having a good look at your lifestyle and the products that you're putting on your body and into your body is a really, really, really good one.
Also, it just might be a key to your wife's issues as well, because toothpaste is another issue that people have, and the L something or other it's long term that's in there is not very healthy. It may cost a couple of bucks, but I would take a look at changing those two things in your life: your toothpaste to organic toothpaste, and something to do with your deodorant as well.
Yeah, and while your wife is on a big growth cycle to do with body-spirit communication, just listen to what we've said about your wife. It looks to me like you also are ignoring your body, and that for both of you, that whole aspect of body-spirit communication is up right now. And yeah, so I would say both of you look to how you can treat yourselves and your bodies better.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to another Unlocking Your Truth podcast by Dr. Leslie Phillips. For more information, go to our website at drlesleyphillips.com. That's drlesleyphillips.com, where you can ask questions or send her an email, and there's many free gifts on there for you as well. Come back again.